Hello AEIS artists. Today we are going to be, as my hair is going crazy, today we are going to be working on a new project in printmaking. So we learned just recently about one of the artists that we're going to be looking at, Jasper Johns, and he liked to do prints and paintings of everyday objects. So the American flag, numbers, bullseye. So he's really famous for several everyday things for people to just kind of take a look at and really kind of appreciate the simpleness that is in everyday life and can also be art. So today we're going to create our backgrounds. We're going to do a printmaking activity where we're going to create a background, and you're going to get 2 sheets of paper. So you're going to get 2 sheets of paper, and what are the 3 things you're going to put on your paper? Hopefully I'm hearing your name, your teacher's name, and the paintbrush that you're sitting at. So make sure you put that on both of them right away, okay? We are going to be using paint that I've had since last school year, so some of the paint might not be really good, so you're just going to have to pick which color you want to use. So I'm going to tilt my camera down and show you some of the materials that you'll be using. It's called Found Objects because we're just using a bunch of objects that we have found, or I have found, around the school and or just everyday objects. So let's take a look at what those are. So you might have a fork to choose from, a clothespin, maybe a piece of sponge. This is actually for knitting, so but it's got some nice little points on it. A cap to a drink, okay, so everyday objects, and a cap to a marker, okay. So you're going to pick one, so ideally you're going to pick eventually 2, but to start with on your paper you're going to pick 1. On this one I used, what do you think? The clothespin. So I'm not going to, you'll notice that I've overlapped my background. I'm trying to fill all the space, so I just have a little bit of space left, and I want to show you how I'm working with it. So I'm going to tilt my camera down so that you can see my workspace. So here is my paper. I'm going to move all the other objects out of the way, and the paint. So as you can see, the paint that we're using is paint that has been sitting around in the classroom for a while, and some of it is dried up, like the yellow is dry, the orange is dry. So when you get your cassette, you're going to have to pick a color that's not dry. Okay, I'm just trying to recycle and reuse colors that I have. So I'm going to continue working with my purple, and I'm just going to move this here so that you can see it. And I just have this section. So I'm hanging on to one end, and I'm dipping my container in purple. Depending on how much paint you have on there, you're just then gonna stamp it down. So printmaking involves stamping. It involves carving, which we'll do next. It's when you use one thing and print onto another sheet of paper. So you can see that I am trying to fill up all of my space, and I'm turning my clothespin a couple different directions. So once again, we're using monochromatic color, one color on your paper, okay? It's gonna take a while. Obviously, I already started mine, so you're not gonna see how long it takes me to fill it up. So you're gonna look at your paper, look at the design, okay, and decide if it's filled up enough. So I believe this paper is filled up enough. With the tool that you used, you're just going to wipe some of the extra still wet paint off. And I think I'm going to have a baggie on each table where the supplies will be in. And I might have you put it back in the baggie and take it, but I'm not really sure yet. So one item, one found object per paper. On your next sheet of paper, because you're going to do 2 backgrounds, kind of, I used, actually for this one, believe it or not, I used this piece. So I used my red, and I pretty much am done, but I'll kind of show you what I did. I just tapped it down, and then I just place it. You can only get maybe 2 or 3 taps before you have to reload your found object. Again, this is called Found Object. It's an everyday I know we don't always use these, but an everyday object that we have and that we're going to create with. So when you're done, you're going to wipe off the tips. And if it's plastic, like this one is plastic, it could go in the sink. The caps are plastic, so they could go in the sink. If you use a fork, that'll go in the sink. And let me show you how you could use the fork. So even though this is a little wet, I'm going to turn it over. And let's see, what other color is, oh, the green is still. So I'm going to dip my fork in, and you could just kind of make little lines. So you can see that the fork creates an interesting pattern. I kind of like this. Again, one color, monochromatic on the background. So enjoy today creating, as I turn you up, enjoy creating your background, which we're going to then use, and we're going to work with numbers, because Jasper Johns worked a lot with numbers. We always use numbers every day in our life, not just for math, but your phone number, the street that you live at. So numbers. So we're going to create obviously two pieces, and then one is going to be your background and the other one is going to be your number. So these are two pieces that I finished using, and you'll notice we also have a little bit of color, extra color there. So we'll go over that. So enjoy creating your background with found objects that are found on your table. So have fun. I can't wait to see what type of backgrounds you guys are creating.